Good afternoon, everyone. This is Dana Ali, and this is my screencast to discuss the commonalities that I have found for the social oppression of homophobia or the LGBT community, religious bias, and ableism. So reading through the pages assigned in the book for this Module 5, as well as watching the video uploaded, the TED Talk, I have come across three commonalities. So the first one would be lack of knowledge of that minority group, and I'll come back to this, overgeneralization and stereotypes, and having few role models. So lack of knowledge, or if we're talking about religion, we would call this religious literacy. So lack of knowledge is huge because ignorance leads us to stereotypes. Lack of knowledge on the cultures or sexual orientation of that person or that group of people or the various religions that are in our world and their values and their beliefs lead us to have stereotypes, which are more often than not, far from the truth. The best way to eliminate prejudice is to seek and reflect upon accurate information about the minority group we know nothing of. So that leads us to stereotypes. So for the LGBT community, a stereotype that I often hear, and this is more of older generations, and it's again, from their lack of understanding, is that being gay is a choice. I know that is not a correct stereotype. That's not a correct truthful statement. But the only reason why I know that is because I've read up on it. But again, a person that would be saying that being gay is a choice, they're probably just repeating something they heard someone else say. It's not an informed statement. And so LGBT students are part of a community that is often ignored and are seen as atypical, therefore face extreme societal hostility because sometimes, due to lack of knowledge, again, people don't know how to deal with them. And this is why it's so important for us educators to obtain some training, read books or articles to inform ourselves so that when we have students like this in our classroom, we know how to better serve them. I teach 6th grade, and around this age is when the hormones begin to be all over the place. And I have had some students come to me and say things like, I think I am a lesbian, or I think I'm gay, as well as my coworkers, the teachers that I work with who teach 6th, 7th, and 8th. So I think it is extremely important as educators to obtain some training on this topic. A stereotype for Muslims. And now, so as I think I mentioned before, I'm mixed. So my father is Palestinian, he's Muslim, and my mother is Colombian and Lebanese. So she's Catholic, but my dad's Muslim. So I know all about stereotypes when it comes to the Muslim community. And one of the stereotypes that I read in the book, but I've also heard over and over and over again, is that Muslim men oppress their women. This is not true. And if there are men that oppress their women, we see men that do that across all cultures, not just Muslim people, and across all religions, I should say, because Islam is not a culture, it's a religion. But this is not true. This has nothing to do with Islam. It's more of the person themselves. And this is not true. In fact, American Muslim women have earned a higher levels of education than most Americans. And this is cited from Dr. Pan's book. A stereotype for people with disabilities is that they are sad, they're frustrated, they're unhappy in comparison to able-bodied persons. And this is not true either. I have had the pleasure of meeting and working with quite a few disabled students. I can remember one, Delaney, when I taught 7th grade. Oh my God, that girl, one of the happiest girls I've ever met. And I have found that wherever they are lacking, they are excelling in other areas of their life. So that's a stereotype, again, very untrue. And then finally, role models. There are a few role models for these three groups, minority groups, and I truly believe that if there were more positive role models out there in the media, then not only would it help the self-esteem of the people that are part of these minority groups, but it would also help Americans, maybe some Americans, to open up their minds a little bit more and perhaps change their thinking when it comes to these minority groups. And that is all for now. Thank you. Bye-bye.